Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear student, Assalamu alaikum. Today our topic is inheritance in Java. In previous classes, you have been studied about inheritance in object-oriented programming using C++. So the same is concept in Java, but with a little difference. Now let's see what is inheritance. Okay, inheritance is actually the process of creating new classes from the already existed classes. Inheritance is a fundamental concept of the object oriented programming. Inheritance का मतलब क्या है कि आपके पास already existed classes हो, ठीक है, और उससे आप new classes create करें. तो जो ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टेड क्लास होता है उसको हम पेरेंट क्लास कहते हैं, और जो क्रिएटेड क्लास है दैट इज़ अ चाइल्ड क्लास. Parent class, or in Java we can call them super class, and the created class is also known as a subclass in Java. So a class can be defined as a subclass of another class. This is the concept of inheritance. We can create as many classes as required from a base class. Okay, so whenever you inherit a class from the super class, you will have the subclass inherits all data attributes of its super class. So whatever existed in the super class, जो भी data और attributes आपके पास super class में मौजूद होंगे, तो सब class जो है उन सबको inherit करेगा. ठीक है. The subclass inherits all methods of its superclass, as well as we can inherit the methods of the superclass. जो methods आपके पास superclass में मौजूद होंगे तो वही आप subclass में भी यूज़ कर सकेंगे. ठीक है. And the subclass inherits all associations of its superclass. So superclass जितने जितने अगर वो किसी already superclass जो है वो बजाते ख़ुद किसी और क्लास का चाइल्ड क्लास है, तो आपने जो क्लास इससे क्रिएट किया है वो उसके तमाम एसोसिएशंस को भी इनहेरिट करेगा. ठीक है. सो द सब क्लास कैन एड न्यू फंक्शनैलिटी. अच्छा, अब सब क्लास ख़ुद अपने जो क्लास है उसमें न्यू फंक्शनैलिटी को भी हम ऐड कर सकेंगे. ओके, यूज़ द इनहेरिटेड फंक्शनैलिटी. ठीक है, जो फंक्शनैलिटी वो इनहेरिट कर सकता है उसको भी यूज़ में ला सकता है. एंड ओवर राइड द इनहेरिटेड फंक्शनैलिटी. जो ओवर राइड का कंसेप्ट अभी थोड़ी देर में आप समझ जाएंगे कि व्हाट इज़ ओवर राइडिंग ऑफ मेथड्स एंड हाउ वी ओवर राइड द इनहेरिटेड फंक्शनैलिटी. हियर इज़ एन एग्जांपल. लुक एट दिस. If suppose person is a class, ठीक है, with the two data members, name and date of birth, right? Name is of type string and date of birth is of type date. So here this super class person is inherited by a subclass employee. Employee is a derived class which is being inherited from the person class. Now this employee will inherit all the data members which are present in the person class, data name and date of birth. So employee will have its own data members as well, like employee ID of type int, salary of type int, and start date of type date. So this subclass employee will inherit all the data members which are present in the person superclass, right? And they are having its own attributes or data member as well, like employee ID, salary, and start date. Okay, so this is your superclass is person in this example, and the subclass is employee, right? Okay, now how we write code for the inheritance in Java. Inheritance is declared using the extends word. ठीक है, extends कीवर्ड के साथ आप जो है तो एक क्लास को इनहेरिट कर सकते हैं. If inheritance is not defined, the class extends a class called object. Okay. Now यहाँ पे आप एक बात को अंडरस्टैंड कर लें कि every class in Java is by default a child class of a super class that is known as object class. आपके पास जावा में एक क्लास है जो कि ऑब्जेक्ट क्लास है, ठीक है। ऑब्जेक्ट क्लास इज़ द रूट क्लास फॉर एवरी क्लास। Okay, so in Java, object class is the root class. Every class is by default as child of the object class, right? Okay, so how we can inherit a class from the already existing class? Here is the process of inheritance. Suppose you are having a class person, okay? So person is the class name, and this class is public. Okay, now in this class we have two data members, name and date of birth. Name is of type string and date of birth is of type date, and these are keep private. Okay, इनको हमने private रखा है. Okay, now here you look at the next line, class employee, right? Employee extends person. Now here this employee class is the subclass of the person class. Employees class has its own attributes, has its own data members, employee ID of type int, salary of type int, and start date of type date. Now this employee class will inherit all the features of the person class which are public, right? एम्प्लॉय क्लास जो है ये अब एक चाइल्ड क्लास है पर्सन क्लास का, ठीक है। तो जावा में आप वर्ड जो की वर्ड है या रिजर्व वर्ड है एक्सटेंड्स, उसके ज़रिए आप एक क्लास को दूसरे क्लास से इनहेरिट कर सकते हैं. Now in a third block you can see that here we have declared an object variable an employee. An employee is the object of the employee class, and this employee class is the inherited class from the person. Now an employee is equal to new. Now new is the operator. You know that whenever we create a new instance we of a class we use so with this new operator we are creating a new object of a class, and in this example we are creating the object of employee class, which is an employee. An employee is actually the object variable, and here employee is the constructor. Okay, so employee is our child class or a super class, or a subclass of the person class. So you can extend as many classes as you want from your already existed class, right? Okay, now द क्लास कॉल्ड ऑब्जेक्ट. अभी अभी मैंने आपको बताया कि इन जावा एवरी क्लास इज़ बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट द चाइल्ड ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट क्लास. At the very top of the inheritance tree is a class called object. In Java जो root class है आपके पास by default तमाम classes के लिए वो object class है, ठीक है, जिसको हम कहते हैं the object class. All Java classes inherit from the object class, right? All objects have common construct ancestor, that is the object, and this feature is not available in C++. In C++ object oriented programming आपके पास रूट क्लास नहीं है जिसके तमाम क्लासेस जो है वो बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट चाइल्ड हो, बट इन जावा तमाम जो क्लासेस हैं जो आप क्रिएट करती हैं वो बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट एक रूट क्लास जिसको हम ऑब्जेक्ट क्लास कहते हैं उनके चिल्ड्रन हैं, राइट? Okay, the object class is defined in the java.ling package. In our coming lecture, we will discuss about the packages. What are packages? So java.ling is actually a package, and this object class is present in the java.ling package. So any class which is the child of this object class will inherit all the features of the object class. Okay, so this was a little bit introduction about the object class. This is different from the object we create. Object is actually an instance of the class, but here the object class is the parent class for the classes which you defined or which you make in your program in Java, and this the object class is existent in java.ling package. Okay. Okay, the super keyword. Why we use the super keyword, or what will be the use of the super keyword in our inheritance programming? Super class constructor can be called using the super keyword. Okay, so whenever you create a class from the already existed class, which is a super class, so subclass may or may not have its own constructor. जब आप सब क्लास बनाते हैं तो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आपने उसमें अपना कंस्ट्रक्टर बनाया हो. And we know that constructor is a special kind of member function which is called whenever the object is instantiated. तो जब आप सब क्लास क्रिएट कर लेते हैं बेस क्लास का, तो इट इज़ पॉसिबल यू कैन कॉल द बेस क्लास कंस्ट्रक्टर फ्रॉम द चाइल्ड क्लास. आप सब क्लास से आप सब क्लास के कंस्ट्रक्टर को सब क्लास के कंस्ट्रक्टर के ज़रिए बेस क्लास का कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. सो बाय यूजिंग द सुपर कीवर्ड, सुपर क्लास कंस्ट्रक्टर कैन बी कॉल्ड यूजिंग द सुपर कीवर्ड. Super class constructor can be called using the super keyword. So super is the reserved word, and with the help of this word we can call a constructor which is defined in the super class from the subclass. It must be the first line of code in the constructor. Okay, so whenever you will write a constructor in your subclass, you will make the first sentence, first line of code in the constructor body. If a call to super is not made, the system will automatically attempt to invoke the no argument constructor of the super class. Okay, so if you are not calling the super class constructor by the word super, सो ऑटोमेटिकली आपके पास जो जावा का कंस्ट्रक्टर है, सुपर क्लास का जो नो आर्गुमेंट कंस्ट्रक्टर है, वो ऑटोमेटिकली इन्वोक हो जाएगा. राइट, मतलब ऑटोमेटिकली वो ऑब्जेक्ट को क्रिएट कर लेगा. सो दिस इज़ द यूज़ ऑफ द सुपर क्लास कंस्ट्रक्टर. ओके, सो हेयर लेट्स सी एन एग्जांपल. यहाँ पे आप एग्जांपल देख लें ज़रा कि हम कैसे ऑब्जेक्ट या क्लास जो है वो इनहेरिट करते हैं. Here you can see bank class name is bank account, right? Bank account is the class, and this class is our super class, right? And this class is having three data members: owner name, right, account number, and balance. Owner name is string, account number is integer, and balance is float. And in this class you are having a constructor bank account. What is constructor? You know it, that constructor is a special member function whose name is same as the class name. So in this class bank account method, here you can see, is a two argument constructor with two arguments: an account number and an a name. Now here in the parenthesis you can see two arguments: an account number, a name. A name is actually a string argument, and an account number is of type int. Now this is a two argument constructor. Whenever this constructor is called for the object creation, this constructor will receive two values from the calling position or from the calling area, and those values will be assigned to an account number and to a name. And from this an account number and a name, these values are then assigned to account number and owner's name. You can see here account number is equal to an account number and owner name is equal to a name. So whenever the object is called created with this constructor, it will take two values, and these two values are then initialized to the two data members of this class, which are owner name and account number. Okay, I hope you will understand this. Okay, the next you can see that here is another class definition, like this. You can see class overdraft account. Now this overdraft account is actually the subclass, extends from the bank account. Bank account is a superclass and overdraft account is the subclass, and that is inherited from the bank account. Now here in the body of this overdraft account, you can see that this is having its own data member and its own constructor. Now here you can see that we are having overdraft limit of type float is the data member of this overdraft account class. And here is another method. You can see this is also is the constructor overdraft account is the constructor of this child class, and it is taking again two arguments: an account number, a name, and float of element. It takes three arguments, so it is a three argument constructor. Whenever this constructor is called, it will require three data values: an account number, a name, and a limit. Now whenever these three values are passed to this uh, constructor, here in the body of this constructor you can see that a super call is made. A super class constructor is called. Here you can see now this sentence. You can see, look at this: super, an account number, a name. What will happen when this statement will executed? Whenever this statement is executed, the base class constructor is called, and two data values, an account number and a name, will passed to that base class constructor. क्या होगा यहाँ पे? अभी इस वक्त हम चाइल्ड क्लास के कंस्ट्रक्टर में मौजूद हैं जिसका नाम है ओवरड्राफ्ट अकाउंट. ओवरड्राफ्ट अकाउंट जो है ये तीन डेटा मेंबर्स को ले रहा है. सो इट इज़ थ्री आर्गुमेंट कंस्ट्रक्टर. इट टेक्स एन अकाउंट नंबर, ए नेम एंड ए लिमिट. ठीक, लेकिन अगर आप इसकी बॉडी में देखें तो ओवरड्राफ्ट लिमिट को तो इनिशियलाइज कर दिया है ए लिमिट से, लेकिन ये जो दो आपके पास एन अकाउंट नंबर एंड ए नेम आर्गुमेंट्स है उनको सुपर वर्ड के साथ, सुपर मेथड के साथ कॉल किया गया है. नाउ ये क्या कर रहा है? एक्चुअली इट इज़ कॉलिंग द सुपर क्लास कंस्ट्रक्टर. ये सुपर क्लास के कंस्ट्रक्टर को कॉल कर रहा है जो कि आपके पास अभी हमने देखा ये वाला, ये इस क्लास कंस्ट्रक्टर को डाल रहा है. तो वो जो ए अकाउंट नंबर था वो इस एन अकाउंट नंबर को अपनी वैल्यू देगा, जो ए नेम था वो इस ए नेम को अपनी वैल्यू देगा, और यहाँ से फिर आपके पास अकाउंट नंबर और ऑनर नेम जो है वो इनिशियलाइज हो जाएंगे. सो दिस इज़ हाउ यू कैन कॉल a super class constructor by super keyword in the constructor of the child class. आप child class में रहते हुए बेस क्लास का यानी सुपर क्लास का कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, आई होप आपको समझ आ गई होगी. ओके, सो इस एग्जांपल को आप ट्राई कीजिएगा, एंड इफ़ यू हैव एनी प्रॉब्लम यू कैन आस्क मी, राइट.